Hey, I got something to say. I'm just so sick of hearing everyone complain. I know it's tough and I know there's pain, but hitting bottom is the only way to change. So I'll keep hustling, you keep struggling.
Welcome to CryptoEMC, everybody, the home of the hustling traders. My name is Rudo, known as the chart artist, and not to my right is Fibonacci Lee, my co-host and fellow trader, who seems to be off gallivanting. Let's kill the music. Let's see. So, guys, we were spending the week looking at bottoms and trying to pick some bottoms, trying to get some good entries for Bitcoin, which I think we managed to get. Today, we need to make sure that those entries are going to last. So we're going to be looking at the failures and possible failures of those entries, plan for both scenarios. You never caught off guard. I also want to be talking about altcoins. This is a big question. When altcoin run, there's a lot of people saying, "What about this coin? What about that coin?" You're constantly talking about Bitcoin. Well, the reality is only Bitcoin matters at this stage. So, but I think it's about time for us to just put an eye back onto the alts and have a look at them to see what's the prognosis and how they're going to move so far. I'm also going to explain to you guys why they pump so hard and then realistically why they dump so hard. And that's normally when most of the people get trapped into alts and then they see they're losing Bitcoin, losing dollars, and just it sets you up for the next mistake in the next run as well. So I want you to help advise on how I overcame that, because guess what? We all get trapped in it the first time round. Alts is like the forbidden fruit with the juicy goodness inside, and eating too much of it, you end up missing the bus back home. And so we want to help you with that. Then the Fed, Russia, Ukraine, there's some things we need to keep in mind there. And we've got some information also about buying the invasion and what that could possibly mean for us. We always say as traders, treat the trend as if it's going to last forever. What does it actually mean? Well, it means that it takes the guessing work away. If you don't have to worry whether it's going to go up or down, what do? You manage your risk. Then also, last thing I want to touch on today. So there's a lot of things. We're going to be busy, guys. Is a message I posted in the chat a little bit earlier. And basically the message reads the following. I use fundamentals to give me a reason. I use technical analysis to manage the risk. And I act appropriate to have a neutral mindset. If it ain't fun, I'm doing it wrong. And this is something I want you guys to, I want to ask you to work with me on this one. Every time we do a stream, I want you to have this text written in your own words and posted in the chat for me. Why? Well, the reality is when we start repeating repetitive work, that's how we kind of work ourselves in. There's a reason why you're on the stream every day. You're repeating, doing something repetitive, learning. And this is part of our vegetables. So call it the sauce on the vegetables, because it's not a lot of work, and reading it out every day doesn't seem like it's going to do anything. But I promise you, 2 weeks down the line, you're going to look at these words in a completely different way, probably in the same way that I look at them. So that is my big goal for today. And so it's busy. So please, guys, sit back, relax. Hit like, subscribe if you like what I said and whether we're going to move forward. If not, watch anyway. What do you have to lose? Okay, so that being said, let's quickly get cracking. History of an altcoin pump. This is something that I maybe need to share on a chart. Let's quickly do that. I'm going to share my screen like so. Boom, everybody can see my screen, and I'm going to move over to Ethereum. Ethereum is probably the daddy, the Bitcoin of the alts. There's Ethereum killers that does not seem to kill it, just as the same way as Ethereum was supposed to be the Bitcoin killer, but does not seem to get that job done. Now, when we talk about the history of an altcoin pump, I think what we need to consider is when alts are truly going to be the ones that make us money, because we get fixated on alts too much. That's the reality. We love them to death, but I think we get fixated on them too much. Because if you look at this run, The idea with the alt is that it's going to be outperforming everything else out there, not just Bitcoin, but everything else. So it's easy for us then to lose sight of making sure that that is actually happening. So just by holding it doesn't mean that that will naturally be the case. So let's have a look at Ethereum. Everybody can see my screen. I seem to be getting some bad internet. So just let me know in the chat if everything is stable enough. While I wait for those comments to pop through, let's talk Ethereum. So when we look at Ethereum, there's a few things that I really want to bring your attention to. You actually should only worry about Ethereum there. And you actually should only worry about Ethereum there. That's the only times you should actually love Ethereum. All the other times, Ethereum is going to be dead in the water. And when we look at that, we then need to decide, is this the time that we would want to be investing? Or when is the time that we want to be investing in Ethereum? And it's the same going to be for any other alt out there as well. They're going to have their moment in the sun. Now, the way you need to think about alts is when you buy an alt for the first time, is like buying a business for the first time. Let's take away my screen. Let's get real. Chart froze. Yes, internet sucks. I don't know what to do with this. This time I can't blame the Wi-Fi, but it seems to be picking up now. So I've got the screen gone. Okay, so buying alt for the first time. Think about my little car wash. I've got a car wash with Lee. We decided to retire. We've lost all our money. We're going to go car wash. This little car wash is valued $1,000. Now, what happens is we decide to go public. We go public with our car wash. We make 100 shares available. $1,000 divided by 100. You get the math. Now, when we have our shares in the open market, the valuation gets done. So when a coin goes to market, it's normally the most honest price that you will ever find. And that's something you need to keep in mind. Because as soon as big money starts seeing the future potential, and big money doesn't think about future potential in the sense of next week or next month. We do that. They look at it in 10 years, 20 years. Them buying up and hyping it in a sense forces too much liquidity to enter that project. So my car wash might not be broken, but the price just spiked and dumped like crazy. So everybody's blaming the car wash. But nobody sits back and thinks, hey, guess what? What was the valuation when this thing launched? How the hell does something go 1,000x and that's sustainable growth? And that's how we get trapped into these projects. Because we have got very short-term goals inherently. Now, we can blame the government for creating what is hypothetically inflation, because if you think about what inflation does to us as a society, it does not reward you for sitting on your cash. If you just have some money and you leave it there and say, there is my money jar, I don't need it now, I'll spend when I really want something. You'll find that when you come back next year, next month even, what you would be able to spend that money on has now become more expensive. So we've got this rush mentality. I cannot afford the vehicle outright cash, so I need to buy it now because 2 years from now, the vehicle will be more expensive. I lock in the bond or the investment fee, and in theory, I'm getting a good deal. Same with property. People, they finance property over 20, 30 years, and the argument is, yeah, but 20, 30 years from now, how much are you going to pay for property? I'm only then going to be paying the small little bond, so I'm winning at the top. But because we have got these short-term goals and the way that we spend our money immediately, we bring that mindset into trading. So we look at alts in that same way. So when we buy alts, we should always ask ourselves, am I buying alts that's already had that hype set onto them? Because that price is not fair. And then if I buy that, who am I going to blame? The reality is I need to blame only myself for buying an unfair valuation to an alt. Now, that said, the alts is going to dump hard as well, and that's going to feel sucky. So what do I do with an alt? Say I made that mistake. Well, the big thing is, if you think about what is fair value, if we look at Bitcoin at the moment, and we look at the hash rate, we look at everything, all the on-chain data with Bitcoin, the most fair value price for Bitcoin currently out there is $38,000 a Bitcoin. So realistically, fair value for everybody that's hodling sitting at around 38K. And Bitcoin at this stage is sitting at 38K. So I'm buying fair value Bitcoin. Doesn't mean that it can go on sale because of ignorance and uncertainty and even a war effort. But the main thing is it's fair value. It's not fair value based on my opinion. It's based on data, money, and so forth. Similar to that original ALTS valuation when it went onto the market. So this being said, maybe we need to cut our mistake off immediately and say to ourselves, let's move on and not make the same mistake going forward. So when we want to buy alts, we want to make sure that they're at the fair value. And when they're at fair value, realistically, the big hype, the people FOMOing in, they are nowhere to be seen. They're going to be coming later on the horizon. That's when that Ponzi run. Ponzi, unsustainable growth. Until everybody stops buying, then the thing collapses. That's what a spike is in the end of the day. People buying it up to a point until there's literally no more buyers. And it's, oops, what now? And then the guy that bought the, close to the top said, oh, I made a mistake and he wants to sell. And then 20 guys below him says wants to sell. And guess what? There's nobody buying because everybody bought. And that's when it falls through the order book and price plummets down aggressively. Okay, so sorry for the little rant and the little preach there, but it's important that we have this mindset when we look at alts. So that being said, what is our goal today? Well, the goal today is to have a look at our alts and see whether we should start dabbling in them, start buying them. So I'm going to bring up this chart over here. It's this one. So what have we seen over we got our buy 35, and this was based, let me expand my screen, and please just let me know if anything happens, because I don't have my main man Lee with me today, and it does still show that my internet's a little unstable. So what do I have here is Bitcoin. And Bitcoin, what's our first condition for saying that the change of character is happening? When price is trending down and there's a change of character, what's going to happen is we're going to get a higher high, at least. First area where the bears are going to lose. So what did they do? The bears initiated an additional defense in this range over here. Let's mark it nice and big, and let's make that color green for that matter. Bears felt happy and great about that. Price rallied down, and guess what? They got liquidated. Or they had to abandon their position. We can call liquidation, not everything is liquidation. Sometimes it's just abandoning. So they abandoned their position because they didn't want to see any more drawdown. It tells us they lost confidence in the fact that there might be an additional downside. This is good. Gives the bulls an opportunity. And this is the confirmation buy for the bulls that I was looking for. That buy at the bottom there was telling me that the bulls were supposed to defend this and try and, let's just move that to the right area, try and have another stab at it. Now, what's the another stab? Well, another stab is going into the 43K range. Why? Well, this bears over here, they're already ruined. But there's bears sitting over there. Now let's go ruin them. And then once we're there, we can always then have a look at the additional zone. So that's my minimum area. Now I need those bears to go get ruined. And that's where the 43K comes in. So the idea is that Bitcoin should now rally and try and get us there. But now if we take this mindset, the simple mindset, I mean, I tend to talk a lot, but it's very simple things that I want you guys to grasp. If we take the simple mindset and we start looking at the alts all blended together in one chart, to just kind of gauge where the entire market is at. We have not had the same mindset in the markets. Alts were not making any higher highs as such. So we cannot, with good conscience at this stage, say that the alts will be performing well. And that's a scary thing. So for most of your alts, if you're holding alts, you're at this stage, you're going to be sitting in major drawdown. And I promise you, going back to where we're at and where we are now, what is Bitcoin doing? Let's have a look at what is Bitcoin doing. Bitcoin is rallying up. It's finding itself back to a new high. The alts barely just bottomed out again. So money is already doing this. Now there's a big saying, follow the money, not the hype, or follow the money, not the promises. So people buy alts with a promise that they're going to make more money than Bitcoin. And at the moment, there's no promise of that. So start following the big money. So with that being said, if we need to start thinking about trading our alts back to Bitcoin, what we would want to do is wait until Bitcoin gets into a favorable area and then sell your alts into Bitcoin. Just sell them into something else. The argument is the loss is already there. And we also know in the big picture, say Bitcoin does get it wrong, we've got to invalidation, let's quickly measure it out, to invalidation from where we're at this stage. I mean, I'm not saying do it now, but we've got 13% to a realistic value invalidation. Where Bitcoin's got big liquidity, you'll be able to exit and start saying, okay, right, I need to buy the next one to run the next runner. But if we were to use an alt, say like Ethereum, if we try and look at for where's the invalidation for that, the invalidation for Ethereum is sitting down there. So in theory, I still need to hold Ethereum for another 35% before I could honestly say that what we did was made a high, made a higher high, there's a low, and we make a lower low. Bear market. That's the scary thing about alts. So that's why I'm not dabbling in alts. And yes, there's few that do well. Telos is at this one, but I mean, for us, Telos, we're entering in it for the first time. So we are very respectful to the fact that there's risk there. It still has got a lot of future growth potential. But guess what? What did we say in the beginning? We said that fundamentals gives us our reason. Technical analysis is there to manage our risk, and timing is there to keep our minds not from running into the woods and overreacting on certain emotions. So at this stage, when we look at an alt like this, which is probably one of the best on the charts at the moment, what do I see? Well, I see that technical analysis wise, fundamental wise, we know that it's doing really well. It performs better than anything else out there, but nobody knows about it. It's like that car wash without a brilliant YouTube marketer telling everybody about it. Still then just going to be a car wash. The local community is going to use it, and that's it. So that's what we're hoping is going to change through time. That's why we want to buy it. So that's the fundamental reason. Technical analysis reason as well, basically, there's an area where we can invalidate, and there's another area where we can invalidate, and there is an area where we can have a bear market run on that. Now, because the fundamentals is good, because we are making higher highs and higher lows, this thing is still trending up. Where Ethereum is already giving us a scenario where it is showing weakness, and it's probably going to continue on showing weakness. And the total 2 is a big part of Ethereum's price in there. So a lot of other projects on Ethereum that just gone through those insane runs, they still need their punishment to be given to them. This one has not had its punishment because it has not had an insane run. Okay, so that's the mindset I want to take with this for you guys. So now we said something else. We talked about Russia, the Fed, and everything around that. Let me quickly take my chart away, and I want to talk to you about that. So Russia has got a big war chest. War chest is full of other currencies. Now, why would they do that? So they were selling their gas to Europe and European Union, and they need gas to heat their homes. There's no green energy as of yet. That problem's not solved. China and US had a big fallout with Donald Trump. China is an enemy of the US in theory, and enemy of my enemy is my friend. So China and the US part of the BRICS, and South Africa subsequently is also in the BRICS. So our country is part of that as well. And so China is moving from coal to gas. So they're going to be supporting Russia and giving Russia money for the foreseeable future. So with that being said, the Russia, after the 2014 sanctions, basically learned their lesson, saw where the punishment was, and basically created an economy for themselves that is self-sufficient from most. which means anything and everything, they've already punished their citizens so that they live according to what their internal economy can provide. US has problems with this. US has got a lot of imports coming and they've got supply chain issues at the moment. So there's a lot of issues, and that helped drive inflation up because you couldn't get your hands on anything. And the reason why the Fed said, well, let's cool the economy down, because of the fact that the inflation is running away. But now during inflation, during wartime, let's say it there, inflation or war, which is the lesser evil? You decide. Now, if that is war, obvious answer there, what would I want to do? I would not want to taper down anymore. I would actually need to heat up my economy regardless of this, because I need to keep the morale back home, because if this thing gets ugly, I would want to send in my guys to defend the liberties and the freedoms and everything that my people are enjoying at this stage. I also would want to be able to tax them. So if they're still making money, they're doing well, I can print money, deflate their value in my country, tax them to have money to continue the war effort. So that doesn't play well with an economy that's going to cool down. So the Fed's really in a position where they can't really go back to interest rate hikes, because it's really going to hurt them, especially in a time of interest. Now, I'm sucking these things out of my thumb, probably. I am not a specialist in this, but what I do have is this little image over here, and I'm going to bring it up. After the Vietnam War, what happened to the stock market? The Gulf War, the Iraqi War, and the Crimean War, not war, occupation. Stock markets tend to rally up because of this now, because of the way that the governments now need to flex their muscles to show I'm the meanest. And that's what's going to probably happen again. The US cannot be seen as weak. Everybody else cannot be seen as weak. And Russia has basically called everybody's bluff because they've been preparing for this for years. So we end up sitting in a situation where you think the COVID collapse, forced people to force the governments to step in and start that money printer. The reality is that this might probably be a bigger catalyst for continuation of this, which means we're kicking the problem down the road, and further down the road, we will most probably have an even bigger punishment. Now, I don't want to dive into that too far, but I hope that I've painted a picture for you guys on what we can see. So what do I want to do going forward? Well, I want to buy the dips. I want to trade aggressively until the trend tells me otherwise. Now, let's move on. Let's quickly have a look at a few things that I want to share with you. I'm going to bring up my Twitter. And I don't want to share. Yeah, well, we can have a look at Telos quickly. So what did I say? Well, Telos has got a big problem here in Twitter. So if we look at Telos as an alt, we just all have a buy. Everybody should have a little bit of Telos in their wallet from the buy. So let's see if we can make some money out of it. I sure do want to make some money out of it. So with that being said, Telos is right up to an area where there's a lot of supply entering the market. You can see how the supply is running in there. Okay. And from now on, what we want to see? Well, I want to see that supply losing. I want to see that supply retracting and joining into the demand side. And how that's going to happen is, if we move over to our Telos chart, is simple. We've got higher volume as prices going down. So in the Wyckoff world of speaking, that means that we're reaching a capitulation event. The higher the volume, the more panic there is on the lower, the more people get shook out, and the better it is for them to buy to keep the continuation on. Now, we call them or institutions, but the reality is everybody trades against themselves, and that's something that you need to know. So we want to trade against them. We want to make money off them. So we just need to understand what the goal is here, and then we are going to be trying to do this for ourselves as well. I'm getting messages that no chart is seen. Let's quickly have a look here. Is that the case? Is it sorted out now, Joe? Please let me know there in the chat. No chart. Let's remove my chart. Am I having such bad Wi-Fi? Again, let's try. Can you see the chart? 3, 2, 1, go. Joe, any chart? No chart. This is really horrible. Again, third time lucky. Keep my fingers crossed. Still no chart. Okay, well, I'm going to give up on giving a chart to you guys. Okay, so it basically ends up that we're going to have to quickly short manage our video feed for today. This was horrible. Okay, so Wi-Fi just went up another line there. It seems to be better now. Let's see chart now. Fourth time. Come on, give me a chart. Anything there? Going once, going twice. Sorry guys. It seems to be I don't have any internet. I wanted to show you how to manage your Bitcoin over the weekend. So I'm just going to commentate on this, and I want you guys to just follow me quickly because it's actually very simple. At the moment, Bitcoin is about 15 seconds away from closing the next 4-hour candle. The price that Bitcoin needs to stay above is sitting at 38,564. We're currently sitting at 38,700. So we're about $200 above it. It's just closed it. So we're still above the 23.6. So for you and everybody else, we are good. Bitcoin at this given stage for the next 4 hours has given us another 4-hour opportunity to try and attack the highs, which is the 39,861. And I think that's all that I can end it up with. Let's quickly go to chats and comments, and then let's answer some questions from everybody. Seeing that my video feed and my internet is no good today, I do apologize for this, guys. So anything in the chat, we can quickly discuss and have a little bit of a dialogue on that. Let's see. Let's try sharing chart one more time while we're at it. I see you guys are still holding on. You're hoping. Let's see. Can you see my chart? 3, 2, 1, go. Uncomfortable silence. No chart. StreamYard issues. Maybe I'm going to just kill StreamYard. Give me a sec. Guys, stay on for 20 seconds if you can. If not, I would understand. Hello. Let's see. Testing. You guys are still all here. I can't believe it. I really want to say thank you, guys. I'm back. Can you hear me? Joe, everything working there on your end? Send me a message. Yes, comments back. Okay, cool. Awesome. You guys are champions. Thanks for not leaving. Let's quickly finish this. I'm going to share my screen and try again. Let's see if you guys can see my screen. Keep your fingers crossed, please. Let's see. Can you see my screen now? Joe, let me know. You will be the quicker one, seeing as it's delayed. Can you see my screen? It seems like it's a yes. We're back in business. Thank goodness. Okay, let's quickly sort out this weekend mess that we've had. So let's look at this. 23.6. So what we have is, when I look at Bitcoin in this area over here, my trade is, I want to see an open and a close above the 23.6. As long as it's there, I am fine to hold my Bitcoin. You can hold your Bitcoin as well. As soon as we open and close below that, take some profit, because guess what? there's a lot of areas here where we can have another buy offer or buy opportunity back in. So how do we do that? Well, simple. I'm going to flip to a 5-minute for you guys, and let's rewind this whole play. And what I'll do is I'll trade it as if kind of know what's going to happen, but I mean, I'm going to trade the 23.6 and show you on this price action when you get out, when you get back in, and so forth, so that you guys can see it over the weekend and keep tabs on it. Now, it's going to be quick, but the reality is we can always pause and rewind as it's on YouTube. Okay, so I'm rewinding quickly. I'm going to go for bar replay. I'm going to go to this area over here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip into auto and zoom in. There we go. So ignore all the lines. What are we going to do? We're going to zoom in this range over here. I'm going to go auto. I'm going to take the RSI away. And all that I'm going to do, I'm just going to show you how I normally trade. Simple as that. 5-minute candles. Let's give ourselves time to one update every 2 seconds, one update every second. Hit play. There we go. So at this stage, what do I have? At this stage, I had us breaking a higher high. So I'm just going to draw the TA in as we go. We made a higher high. Well, we have not made a higher. We've purely just changed momentum. So at this stage, what do I want to see? I still want to see a higher high. So for everybody that's out there, that is the last high. So up there, we've got a higher high. So normally for me now, it's game on. I can get busy. So when I look at the higher high, what do I want to see? Well, where's the area where we broke? Now, let's quickly pause this. Simple. First time or first point of attack for me to enter the market. Well, that's the higher high level that I got at that stage. This is the candle that took me there. So what I would want to do is I want to buy 50% of the body of that candle. Not trying to make things complicated, 50% of the bottom of the candle, which means that's my first point of attack. So over the weekend, say that happens, and we do make a high high and we come back down. You want to take some profit at that 40 or 39 level, you're welcome to do so because you'll have your first point of attack, which should be in that area. So let's hit the play button and see what happens. So for now, I want to see this thing bouncing at 35 thereabouts. So 35,144. That's my first point of attack. So at this stage, there's the high, no higher high, so I can still wait patiently for that to happen. No higher high, big correction back down. Let's see. We are holding this demand. We break the demand. Now we're going to move in. There's my buy. Boom, got my buy hit. Buy got stopped out. Let's pause that immediately. Now, this is the thing. When we talk to you guys about trading and being aggressive, we don't know what's going to happen next. That's the reality. We take our trade and then we wait. Sometimes it fails and sometimes it doesn't fail. This was first point of attack. So what do I mean by first point of attack? If that's the candle body that I'm trading, I would not want to see price go below that level. That's my invalidation point at 34,900, which means now let's delete this fib level. Where's my next point of buy? Well, now my next point is to try and look for imbalance. So if the 5 minute's not giving me any imbalance, then I can even go to the 1 minute for that matter. And if I zoom into the 1 minute, where I'm trying to do is look for an area where there would be a little bit of an imbalance. Now, there's an imbalance sitting over there. Boom. And there's a hidden demand zone sitting right over there. Now, Lee and myself, we spent hours pooling over these targets, looking for additional reasons to pick one as the higher probable one. And this is the behind the scenes that we very seldom able to share you because it would be then a 4 or 5 hour YouTube video. So when I look at that, those would be the areas where I would want to go and buy. So now you can see there's the imbalance around that level. Price wick to that range yet. But now I'm not going to get too overexcited about that just yet because that target, I would have marked it up. But the target would have been, I would wait for it to go there, but I would want to see a higher high or else I would want to get out on the next correction. So let's let the play run and let's see how it works and see what it does. It's running, it's running, it's running. You can see how it does not want to make a high at this stage. Let's see. Hopefully we can break the higher high. Volume's going down. Interest is gone. We made the higher high. Fighting it again. Okay, great. So with that being said, pause. What I don't want to do now is, once I've got the higher high, I don't really need to hang around for this target anymore. And think of this target on this 1 minute candle as the original 38 that we gave you. If we got the higher high at that 38, 34 would be parked because we've got a situation where the market wants to turn now and move on. But at this stage, for what happened on the daily. That didn't happen. So what did we do? We moved on to the next one. We got our stopped out again, and we move on to the next one. So with this one, there's a higher high. The probability that this one is going to be the one that holds very high. So mathematically, what do I want to do? Oh, I want to look at these wicks. Because this is 1 minute, I'm just going to give it a little bit of a wider berth. And the argument is I want to buy between 34,800, stop limit below 34,825. So it's a very tight leverage trade area. So let's move that on. And now, before that invalidation, let's just, I should have had this fib running already. Let's play the scenario out. What I do is I'll put my normal fib retracement in at the top like that. And that fib just lives on my desktop. It just runs there. I keep on moving it, moving it, moving it. What's the story there? Is this bearish momentum over? No, we have not lost the 23 fib. So now let's play. Let's see how that runs. So it's running, open, close, below the 23.6. So then you know the 38, we are losing momentum. So for me, anytime we're going to now move to this 38.4, that's the time to buy. So there we had an opportunity to grab some. Let's see what it does. There's the higher high for this one. If it doesn't make a higher high, pause. Let's move it down there. There's our opportunity to buy. There's the area. We didn't make a higher high and we lost at 23.6. So at that stage, I'm waiting to exit. This is probably going to go back to my entry again. How much gains did I make there? Probably what a point something percent in the scale of time that we're doing here. I'm looking at this and I trade this on a daily basis, hourly and 4 hourly as well. So now that runs again. So now we're going to go back to that entry most probably. There we hit it again. Let's pause it right over there. Okay. So now we've got our sweet spot buy. Stop limit still hiding around that level. What do I want to do? I want to move my fib back down there, make that my 1, and then I want to keep tracking this as it goes. The reason is now I want to make sure that from my buy, I can get to a point to start moving my stop up, reducing my risk. If I can reduce my risk, beautiful. It's gonna be the one that I can hold for a longer time. So now let's hit the play button and let's track this as it's gonna go. So there's a higher high, there's a higher high, there's a higher high, there's a higher high, and there we go. Boom. Let's pause this. At this stage, say this happens over the weekend, and we've just experienced this now. We're still above the 23.6. Now you're sitting pretty. You're not out of the move. You can enjoy it. You can enjoy the run to see where it wants to go. So this is my low now. And this is my price. Now let's go back to 5 minute now. If I go back to my 5 minute, what do I want to see? Well, where's the higher high? I'm going to move that line there. We need to now break that for me to go up another time slot to say that on a larger time frame, this buy zone might even hold. So now let's see what plays out now. Are we going to go there or not? Okay, let's pause immediately. We've reversed now. So let's zoom in, go back to our 1 minute. As I moved it up, boom, where do we go? Open, close. Let's just flip this thing. Just do that. There. There's a 23.6. Open, close, below it, exit point. That's it. We can buy the 618. We can probably buy the 887 because at this stage we're still trending up. But what I wouldn't want to do, I wouldn't want to hold past that level because guess what? Then this target comes into play. So let's see what it does. And nobody says you're not allowed to do this now. We've lost the 23.6. The bears already decided they don't want to be there. So now what I can do is now I can move that target down there, move that one up, and keep tracking it. Losing it. This one will most probably fail. So let's see what it does. Getting narrower and narrower and narrower. Engulfing structure, boom. So your buy from there, there's your invalidation. That area there, that whole structure engulfed this whole last fight back. So for me, that's my exit point. So we've succeeded, we've run this, and we've looked at the point where we're going to fail. So if we want to bounce, where would we want to bounce? We would want to bounce back at that candle over there. So 35.24, let's see what it does. Went right to that candle and it held. Okay, so now let's pause. If we don't make a higher high, that would be my buy. If we don't make a higher high, there's my higher high. That's a fail. So you see how many entries we had, how many entries we said goodbye to, how many of those back and forths we had, until we get the one that wins. Because you know the way that these markets work is there's going to be the one that never goes back to that entry again. And you're going to have to stay around and stick at it until you have that one. Simple as that. So let's see what we're doing now. We're running, making a higher high. So you see how nice that entry is playing out for us now. Let's move our lines up. Open, close below it. The 786 is roughly the same as the 382. Okay, the 23.6. Open, close below it. Buy the 618, which would always be the same. Stop limit below this level. Let's see what it does. I wouldn't want to see us lose that demand area there. So there's the line there. There's my invalidation line for this area. Otherwise, we're not going to fight back. Let's see. Play. We're not making a higher high. I'm going to pause it right there. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to move this fib into that range there and see what it wants to do. Made a higher high onto that one. That's fine. This momentum is tracking good. 618. Let's make a higher high or else I sell 23. Higher high. I can adjust my fib. Let's see. Higher high again. I can adjust my fib. Open, close below it. It means sometimes any strategy has its faults. Just happens. So what do? Open, close below it goes, makes a higher high. What do? You buy the higher high. Simple as that. Oops. Let's see what it does. It's still tracking momentum. Strong engulfing structure. Wouldn't want to see it lose that area over there. If then, we will most probably start retracing back down and then this target comes into play again. Okay, you guys get the point. So this is how you need to train yourself. I'm going to pause it right there. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Now, the one thing that we really want to see is a strong trending market, because when that happens, we can start trading aggressively. We can look at higher time frame entries, flip into smaller time frames, get those high leverage buys, and then guess what? If we start moving into hourly time frames, this volatility that we're looking becomes insignificant. So a few dollars up, a few dollars down. But that would be the sweet spot entries that we would want to see to drive out and to drive price into where it wants to go. Okay, so I hope that this helped a lot of you guys. And let's quickly go through the chats. I don't see anything serious. Thanks. There we go. I think that's it. So guys, one question for you over the weekend. Please copy and paste that original comment that I shared with you guys. Let me know you've got it. I want you guys to read through that, because going forward, we're going to get to a point where we're going to say investment entry. Investment entry in ALTS is going to be the alt that's now really died and killed and everybody hates it. That's the one where we're going to take a little bit of money in pocket there and forget about it, because this is an investment. It's going to pay off in the 3 months from now. The alts are bleeding to a point where they're getting to that range. Bitcoin is not supposed to now go to that range, because Bitcoin is our momentum indicator for the alts. Bitcoin needs to remain bullish, needs to remain continuous trending strong. And that's why this point where we're at is critical. Because if Bitcoin then loses this level, buying that alt is not going to happen now. It's probably going to go another 10x on discount before you're going to have to buy it, or before you need to buy it. And that's the discipline that I would need each and every one of you guys to take note of. So if you're sitting in bad alts at the moment, wait for the next BTC buy. Sell some into that BTC buy and reduce your risk there. Because if BTC fails, you need to get out of the market at some stage. Now you're getting out at a reasonable level where you can draw a line in the sand. You're not feeling the pain as much. And guess what? When that alt goes back into a proper investment zone and we can buy, you actually have cash on hand to do that. So you never end up sitting in a point where you've got only coins and no opportunity available to you due to the fact that you don't have any dollars. Guys, I want to say thank you for you guys sitting on a Friday. We miss Lee. Please, Lee should stop gallivanting and come back. It's always fun talking with somebody and not just to a camera. And I really appreciate each and every one of you guys. I also want to say thank you and a shout out to my team. You guys have really been working hard. And although it doesn't show on the outside, the efforts and the work that they put behind the scenes really doesn't go unnoticed from our eyes. So I just want to say thank you. And thanks to the community, guys. Have a lovely weekend. Trade safe and manage your risk. And please, those 3 words, make it your mantra, because if we want to be hitting them as they go forward, and we want to hustle properly. And this is going to help anybody else if we keep on repeating that in each chat and each comment. Anybody that's new is going to read that and latch onto that words. And remember, we don't want to create a pump and dump community here. We want to create a community of people that's responsible, they've got the tools. And anybody that's new is going to see you guys lead by example. They're going to jump into this, and this is going to build a strong, flourishing community. And that's what we wanted to do. We want to see a YouTube channel grow to the one that we would have wanted to follow when we started out. And you guys can make that happen. Only you guys can make it happen. Cheers, everybody. Have a lovely weekend. And as always, please keep hustling.
Keep hustling. I've seen a lot of people who don't know what work is. I've seen a